Experience hospitality the Northwest way at the Everglades Hotel. Located on the banks of the River Foyle, the Everglades Hotel is just minutes from the centre of Derry, Londonderry, with free on-site guest car parking. Whether you're here for a family meal, a big celebration, or simply a peaceful retreat, will make your experience as memorable as the sights in the city. Visit Everglades Hotel Derry for accommodation bookings, the latest menus, live shows and events, and much, much more. See you there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gaelic Lives podcast. We're bringing a feature podcast to you today on our Thursday show, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sean Quigley, former Fermanagh footballer. And Sean, you're coming on to the podcast here. How's things?
Oh, good, Sean. Yeah, glad to be here. Sounds good now. Check here.
You're enjoying the summer?
Yeah. So far, yeah, it's taking it easy. Not too excited. Chill out now, but yeah, it's all good.
Sean, we're going to look back at your career, and I suppose the way these things usually start, go back to home life and how was things growing up? Were you football mad, or was football always the destination for you?
Actually, yeah, I suppose it was. I suppose the fact that I had two older brothers that were very involved in football too. That I come from a small rural place like Australia, there was very little else to do but to kick the ball around. So yeah, that was always going to be a big thing for me looking back now. That football was going to have a massive part of my life. So yeah, from the early days, there wasn't much else to do. There was no real soccer. There was no other real sports around our local area. So yeah, it was all shoulders the way with like they were being great mentors and all when we were younger. I was just going down that route.
And you mentioned the brothers, I suppose, to play county football with your brothers and to win championships with your brothers as well. Sean, I'm sure you must have a special bond, and it all comes from football, I suppose.
Yeah, as long when they were a bit younger, I there it is memories of exactly football. See watching the two boys playing. Close in a 20 minor match, before the Ulster Championship games, the minor years to play. We have to thinking, that these lads were superstars, so the fact that we actually were on, the three of us representing the county, all very special. So I suppose, yeah, there was a great bond on the pitch at Tiny, but now I'd say if you hadn't been on the pitch with us at time, you wouldn't have thought there was a great bond the way we were shouting at each other. But
I suppose your county call up, Sean. Your county call up was a bit of I suppose you weren't expecting it. You had just played a McCrory Cup match a couple of days before, and you got the call to join the Fermanagh county team.
a rough patch for, a few players that had left the panel and were probably down in numbers, but that didn't really matter to me. It came as a lovely surprise, They'd quickly greet them in Carrick and Shannon on a Sunday, and that was it from then on. I was more or less in constant since that. But no, it was unexpected. But looking back on it now, it was probably one of the lowest ends of Fermanagh's history actually, because we actually went on that game and beat them. Looking back, for me, it was a huge part of my career. And, it's funny, John O'Neill was the manager, so he was only in for 1 year, but he gave me my county call up, so I owe him an awful lot for that.
And how did you find it, Sean, going into a county dressing room as a schoolboy? Like it must be a bit daunting, is it?
It was. I was lucky enough that I had played number 21 that year, and there was 7 lads from the county set up and had to walk away from the group. So at that stage, a number of under 21 players, so it was still good enough. They could play you lads, and then the camera building with some team, something all those lads. Looking back, I tell you, I can't really remember much about it, but it probably was tough. But like everything else, I suppose you go in with that bit of confidence when you're maybe arrogant the way I think, where I'm going in here, obviously big enough for these years, so that's where the managers rang me. So looking back at it, yeah, there was probably a wee bit naive to it all. But no, looking back, it was thoroughly enjoyable, even though that year was sort of a really tough one. But it's funny because I really enjoyed it. And we went down to play that game in Gaelic Shannon, actually. We were winning, I think winning 10, not half time. And we ended up, and we were winning 11-1. We ended up drawing the game 11 each. And each won 20 minutes into the second half. So I have to take some responsibility for that.
That's a rough enough start.
Yeah. I know it's but yeah, that's the way it was then. Unfortunately, not unfortunately. Yeah, I didn't have to stop because I was just happy to get there to an extent.
I suppose that them first couple of years, Sean, you're probably finding your feet just getting into the county setup and the way of things. And I know there was a great story you told one time about then in 2014 when you played Laois. You had a conversation with your marker about your dad habits the night before the matches.
That story is following me right now. That's nearly 11 years ago, and it's still following me around. Yeah, the conversation that we had, it was funny because I can't believe most fellas think right, and he actually mentioned it again then a few years after. That's clear. That's the way it was. You know, it wasn't. Yeah, that's probably, but it'll be ordinary. Ordinary. In terms of it, you know, that's 10 years ago. Was the boys doing it? Possibly, yeah. I certainly wasn't going to get to a pre caught up with nutrition and that. You know, it does matter. It's completely changed now. Yeah, but that story definitely grew some legs over the years. So then I laugh because every time that it's told back to me, there's a different swing on it.
Yeah, I suppose that's well known at this stage, Sean, about you had a pizza the night before, and that was the conversation you were having with your marker. But probably what isn't recognised was you actually scored 2-8 that day, and you got man of the match.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was something in the picture or what it was, but yeah, that's the thing. It's funny because that kind of becomes a bit of a side note. I'll say I probably played my best ever game, one of my best ever. But yeah, that story just at times it just drops it again. What it is, what it is. My focus at that time was when playing a game of football. I just don't want that for me, you know. Unfortunately, I did want to play. Unfortunately, for the team, we could beat. But no, I wouldn't. It still wouldn't cost me a thought to go out and have a pizza the night before a match. I'm probably doing it. More often now than I ever was.
And Sean, you were saying that was one of your best ever performances, but probably your best year in a Fermanagh jersey was the following year. Then 2015, you gained promotion from Division 3. You go all the way to All-Ireland quarterfinals. Like that was a crazy year for you.
Actually, and I actually think that we see him all about the year. Probably did a bit of a spot to us. We were down to the East that day. Also to play for. The East were actually going very well and run Dublin very close in the Minnesota Championship. But no, the following year we got great momentum going throughout the league. We actually got to the league final. I think two of Armagh with Gaelic grounds and Armagh beat us in the league final. But then we went on. Had a good couple of months in the championship game to beat Antrim. Unfortunate enough to get beat by what we did against Monaghan and lost the championship. But then again, we got momentum going again and we did great summer. Yeah, so that was really enjoyable. I suppose, as you said yourself, personally, that would be probably one of my most prolific years. Definitely on the scoreboard, I think.
That year, going into the All-Ireland quarter-final, I suppose, Sean, like it's probably it's territory Fermanagh hadn't maybe been to in a while. I suppose you're casting your mind back to 2004 and upsetting Armagh at that stage. Like, did you have full belief going into that Dublin game that you could turn them over? That I think that was the start of the 6 in a row for Dublin, so that's the sort of quality as we're going in against.
Realistically, where are we going to beat Dublin? We weren't like, that's, you build yourself up. You have to give yourself a chance. The way we thought about it was if we perform to a level and everything goes right for us, then we needed right. I'm saying going on to your next question. We got a couple of good lucky calls that day. But hindsight, we probably weren't good enough. We weren't at that level. the occasion itself was one that you remember for a long time. It's actually coming from band because don't get them opportunities very often. One of them ones then where you have to tell yourself you have a chance.
Tell me about some of these lucky scores you've got. Sean, was there any one stood out? There's one sticking out in my head.
You know, from a pizza story, that's another one, and that has followed me around for years, the Stephen Clubs and that. I think people forget that I think I scored 9 points that day at Martin Roy UK. So to me, it's funny, and would have been about 15 points. It just happened to funny, a lad, and I always remember going home and like their first grandfather in 94 now, so he wanted to be, he's more now at that time. He couldn't get over the big deal was. He said that was a perfectly good goal when he was playing. He was like, he tried to understand what the issue was.
I suppose, Sean, looking back at that year for you, I know you finished the campaign as the second highest scorer in Ireland in the championship. You got an All-Star nomination, so like maybe at the time you're maybe thinking of the next year all the time and stuff, but reflecting on it now, like you must be very proud of what you achieved and what the team achieved that year too.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I think that team itself, we created a great ball. That inevitably did fall away. We had like we beat Roscommon, we beat Westmeath, and we had a couple of really, really titanic battles throughout the league with Armagh, and we went with all the. I think that was a good stand. So you remember that, and it's funny looking back at it, it's probably boys in that game that, you drift away and you don't really see each other as much. And, it's a pity because we had such a good bond. And it was definitely one of the, a special format I think to be involved with. So it was, but on a personal level, looking back, it was one of the years where just things just moved out to you on a personal level, the nomination and all stuff as well. So, yeah, it was looking good on my time. Yeah.
2018 was maybe a similar story for you, Sean, in terms that you were back down to Division 3, but you got promoted once again. And then you get beat by Armagh in the National League final, but you get one over them in the Championship then. You go on a real run and you end up in the Ulster final.
That was another year, and that was probably a different year there. So full self. Obviously, Rory had come in, and he had flagged really, really good condition. Yeah, that league, Janice stumbled through the league, winning game, not to be opening well. Um, we were actually did the league final was probably a bit of better one. But the right game, leaving it time and trying to lose the championship. I think early on we did take our knees off that throughout the league, and it's funny because it was actually established that last year. I think the 10 or 11 the Armagh team played up the Iron final last year, but they never beat the mark that day. So we actually we won a game, played 6 points in 5 or 6 points. We completely dominated and dictated the game. Then going on towards the Monaghan game, we felt we shouldn't have been in a position that day against Monaghan to get a late goal because we had dictated most of the game that day. Albeit Monaghan, we needed to play a goal. I always think you always hear people say it. We remember the game. We remember the game to lose more than the win. That was the final. We just did not do that whatsoever. Get prepared so well for.
Is that still one, Sean? Like, because the scoreline maybe didn't do you justice that day against Donegal. So, like, as you say, like you always regret the ones you don't win, obviously. But was it the fact that you just didn't perform? Is that more of a regret than say even winning it? Like, if you had performed, who knows? But the fact that you maybe didn't perform to your levels, is that what the big regret is from that day?
Well, we definitely tried to free the game. The way we had been playing through the championship, I mean, technically through their terms, we were so ruthless in front of our own goals that we weren't giving away free kicks, we weren't giving away goals. It was just, we were so, Rory had us regimentalized in the way of thinking. I don't know whether it was the occasion, build up, or just naivety or inexperience. There's nothing that got us at the, I know personally, thinking, just we were like rabbits caught in a hat. It's really we just didn't perform.
And I suppose in the years after that, Sean, I know you stepped away for a while in around 2020, and you just cited that you weren't enjoying it anymore as part of the reason. And I suppose that leads us into the new rules and things. That was it just the way football was being played at that time, Sean, that wasn't enjoyable, or what was the decision making at that stage?
The fact of it was that I was at it 10 years at that stage without break. I went from basically playing county minors and then in the middle of that playing for a club team that was doing really well and pushing on towards, we were still playing football in November, the Ulster Club and stuff like that. So it just got the flow, things like that. You get tired of it. That's just basically what it was. I got fed up playing up the road saying it. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy the football. But that's probably one thing that I've missed since I haven't been playing for Fermanagh. There's the ones of the football hunters, but just in terms of that year myself, I just could not get motivated to go, and I would have been almost slow enough burner to get going at the start of the year. I've been there and probably I'd be probably the one lad that had been whinging bad about being there, but I always stuck it out. And once we got going, it was grand. Just that year, there was something about it that I just didn't have the energy for it. I just didn't have the willpower to go every night. So I just decided to step away because, when you have someone like that in a group, it can really suck the life out of a group. And I've seen it before with other people, like probably myself at times. You can become a real negative presence around the room. So I just decided to step away from it. And, it ended up I really didn't miss that much football because it was COVID. There was no league football really played. There was man only did one championship match. So it probably worked out well for me.
And coming back into the fold, then Sean, I suppose you get back for a couple of years, and then you decide that your time's up. How difficult a decision was that to actually step away for good?
It was, when I did step away, it wasn't definitely no intentions made in retiring, and there was probably just also down to work commitments when I stepped away from it. I had no intention really retiring, but I had every intention of making myself available in the game. The year or so after that, or maybe even later on in that year, but just materially, it's just things, we're at different and out the way that that I would like to actually work. About a month after stepping away, I went to the MCL, so only really coming back on that. So I was out off the pitch there with the nines. So I'm only getting back into the swinging things now, and I've a fair bit of work to do. But in terms of the Fermanagh setup, you do miss it when you're away from it. I would have definitely struggled to even go to a match. There was only really 2 games this year. I went to the Touch Cup semi-final, and I went to a league game in Adelaide against Offaly. You know what? I struggled watching them. I didn't enjoy it, and it's strange to think that because I suppose when you're so used to being involved in the setup, and then all of a sudden you're not there, you're not in that bubble. It's tough enough to swallow at times, And I would have been the one with my own decision to step away, but it's definitely strange. Not been involved anymore, so I would have found it difficult to go to games then after that. But I'm slowly getting out of that now, and I'm trying to get more games.
And you're saying about your injury, Sean, you haven't got to go with these new rules properly then yet, have you not?
No, I actually, to tell you the truth, I'm standing goals, unfortunately. So I don't know what way that's working out. The new rules for the flag goalkeeper might have suited me, but then they changed them again. So no, the new rules they're fine. There's probably ones that I would have loved to have played with if it was going well and that, and the game itself is a better spectacle. It's enticing more people to play. The only problem it is it's enticing more cornerbacks to shoot for 2 pointers, which when you have a couple of cornerbacks that are playing and need to concentrate and get the 1 pointers before they go for the two.
And Sean, before I let you go, I suppose we've talked about a lot of highs and lows there of your career. I suppose what was the highlight? What was the best bit of your whole county career?
Well, the county career, I suppose, get to those the final. I was fortunate for Fermanagh. I played for 12 years, got to a couple of finals, haven't won anything really. But looking back, 2015 was a really good year. On a personal level for myself, that was a good year. But you know, I said it before, you remember the games you lose more so than the ones you win. But I suppose that one close to the final was really, although we didn't win it, it's teams with regret. Build up the boys around the county that time was something that I had never experienced as a player, and I probably won't experience it again. But there for that, the county career, that would be my highlight. So it was my overall career, winning a senior championship for you was unbelievable. Just to win one, but never win four. Suppose when I was growing up, when I started playing football, my goal, playing from Anna, always to play so sway, but still inside goal, yeah, so I've been on to highlights, lots of low legs, if you want to call them that, but overall, that has been a positive experience.
Sean, brilliant to hear from you. Thanks very much for coming on to the podcast. Great to hear your story.
No problem, Sean. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Experience hospitality the Northwest way at the Everglades Hotel. Located on the banks of the River Foyle, the Everglades Hotel is just minutes from the centre of London Derry, with free on-site guest car parking. Whether you're here for a family meal, a big celebration, or simply a peaceful retreat, we'll make your experience as memorable as the sights in the city. Visit Everglades Hotel Derry for accommodation bookings, the latest menus, live shows and events, and much, much more. See you there.